Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shabnam Mehlawat, an Associate Professor from the Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. This is my lecture number 20, which is on the plastic waste management rules in India, and I will be talking about the same with amendments which have been made over a period of time. As we have already discussed previously, the hazardous waste rules have been discussed under the 1989 Basel Convention on Transboundary Movement of Hazardous Waste, and in consonance with the international law, India also drafted rules with respect to the Basel Convention. Similarly, similar rules are drafted with respect to the same convention with relation to the plastic waste and its management for a proper disposal so that environment is not affected in an adverse manner. The objectives of the Act, they are that plastic pollution has become a major environmental challenge in India as well as the world, and with increasing production and improper disposal of the plastic waste. The Indian government took steps to address this issue through the Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016, which aim to regulate the plastic waste, management of plastic waste across the country. To give thrust on plastic waste minimization, source segregation, which means segregation should be made at the sources, recycling involving waste pickers, recyclers and waste processors in collection of the plastic waste fraction either from the households or any other source of its generation or intermediate material recovery facility, and adopt the polluter pays principle for sustainability of the waste management system, which means that plastic waste should be segregated at the very source, and those who are trying to create pollution or add to the pollution which is already created and increasing the problem in India, they need to be paying for the pollution for which they are creating. The Basel Convention on Transboundary Movement of Hazardous Waste 1989 was the first and the main convention for hazardous waste. It was an international treaty between 190 countries on the management, disposal and the transboundary movement of hazardous waste produced worldwide. Transboundary would mean from one country to another, where the country is exporting that hazardous waste into another country for the proper disposal or for the use of the same in any other ways for the purposes of reusing or recycling. The Basel Convention is the only legally binding global agreement that specifically addresses plastic waste. As of January 1st, 2021, the convention controls the international shipment of the most plastic waste and scrap for recycling or disposal, including hazardous and the most non-hazardous plastic waste. The convention's plastic waste amendments adopted in 2019 aim to make global trade in plastic waste more transparent and regulated. Regulated means it goes through the proper channels in a proper manner by filling in the forms, by giving information both to the user as well as from the country from which it is exported. The amendments aim to prevent plastic waste from entering the marine environment, which is threatened by high levels of marine plastic litter and microplastics. Prior to the coming of force of the Convention on Transboundary Movement of Hazardous Waste, the people and the countries, they would let rudderless ships go into the ocean and into the no man's land and let those ships drown with that hazardous waste for nobody to question and nobody to take responsibility. But all this changed after the 1989 Basel Convention on Transboundary Movement of Hazardous Waste. Our constitutional law in India, it talks about the fundamental rights. The right to a healthy living has been recognized as a fundamental right, which is the right to life. And Article 19(1)(g), which is right to carry on your trade and profession, but this is subject to certain restrictions and it cannot override the right to life. Then comes the directive principles of the state policy, which is the duty of the citizen and duty of the state. Article 47 states that the government's primary duty is to improve public health, raise the standard of living and increase levels of nutrition for its citizens. 48A talks about the state shall endeavour to organize agriculture, animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines and take steps for preserving and improving the breeds and prohibit the slaughter of cows and calves and other milch and draught cattle. The fundamental duty of Article 51A subclause G, this article addresses the fundamental obligation of the citizens and it is the responsibility of every citizen to preserve and enhance the natural environment, which includes forests, lakes, rivers, animals, as well as a compassion for the living persons. The law is in India, we have umbrella legislations whereby when a law is drafted, under the laws, the central government and the state governments have the power to frame rules with respect to a single problem which may arise or will be arising in the near future. So, in India, we have the Environmental Protection Act as the umbrella legislation for problems like hazardous waste, for plastic waste, and we have drafted rules under the same as it empowers the central government and it empowers the state government in their respective fields to frame those rules. So, in exercise of these powers conferred under section 6, 8 and 25 of the EPA Act, the Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016 were drafted by the Government of India. With the help of Ministry of Environment and Forests and Climate Change, it was brought into force. This is the timeline of the plastic waste rules in India. The recycled plastic usage rules came out in 1998. The plastic manufacture, sale and usage rules came out in 1999. The recycled plastic manufacture and usage amendment rules came out in the year 2003. The draft plastic waste and management rules came out in 2009. The management and handling rules came out in 2011 and the plastic waste management rules finally came out in the year 2016. The rules were amended in the year 2018 and then the rules came out in 2021 with certain further amendments. The second amendment to these rules was made in the year 2021. And finally came the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules in the year 2022. The Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016, they have a title and there is a commencement of these rules in the year 2016. So, it was here that they came into force on the date which was published in the official gazette in India, and this is the date of their coming into force. So, the applicability says that the rule shall apply to every waste generator, local body, gram panchayat, manufacturers, importers and producers. The rule 4 shall not apply to export oriented unit or units in special economic zones notified by the central government manufacturing their products against an order for export. This exemption shall also not apply to units engaged in the packing of gutka, tobacco, pan masala and also to any surplus or rejects left over products and the like. The defining provisions of the law talks about that these rules are framed under the Environmental Protection Act of 1986. The brand owner is a person or company who sells any commodity under a registered brand label. The carry bags mean bags made from the plastic material or compostable plastic material used for the purpose of carrying or dispensing commodities which have a self-carrying feature but do not include bags that constitute or form an integral part of the packaging of goods which are sealed prior to use. Commodity means any tangible item that may be bought or sold and includes all marketable goods or wares. Compostable plastics. Now, this is an important definition which goes to explain that plastic that undergoes degradation by biological processes during composting to yield carbon dioxide, water, inorganic compounds and biomass with other known combustible materials excluding conventional petro-based plastics and do not leave visible, distinguishable or toxic residue. So, the consent means consent to establish and operate the concerned State Pollution Control Board or Pollution Control Board Committee granted under the Water Act and the Air Act. The disintegration means the physical breakdown of a material into very small fragments. The extended producer's liability means the responsibility of the producer or the occupier for the environmentally sound management of the product until the end of his life. So, that means that is the producer should produce goods which are environmentally friendly for their better management to dispose them of in an environment friendly manner. The foodstuffs, ready to eat foods, fast foods, processed foods, cooked foods in liquid, powder, solid or semi-solid form. A facility means the premises which are used for collection, storage, recycling, processing and disposal of that plastic waste. Importer is a person who imports or intends to import or holds an importer-exporter code number and unless otherwise specifically exempted. So, the people who are transporting these hazardous waste material from one place to another need to have a license for the purpose of carrying on their business. The institutional waste generator means occupier of an institutional building such as a building occupied by the central government department, the state government department, public or private sector companies, hospitals, schools, colleges, universities and other places of education, organization, academy, hotels, restaurants, malls and shopping complex. The local body means the urban local body with a different nomenclature such as the municipal corporation, the municipality, the Nagar Palika, the Nagar Nigam, the Nagar Panchayat, municipal council including notified area committee and not limited to any other local body constituted under relevant statutes such as the Gram Panchayat where management of plastic waste is entrusted to such agency. The manufacturer is the person who is producing that plastic from the raw material to be used as raw material by the producer. Multi-layered packaging means any material which is used for packaging and having at least one layer of plastic as the main ingredient in combination with one or more layers of the material such as paper, paper board, polymeric materials, metallized layers or aluminum foil either in the form of a laminate or co-extruded structure. Plastic in the end, the definition of the word plastic is important. It means material which is an essential ingredient with a high polymer known as polyethylene, terephthalate, high density polyethylene vinyl, low density polyethylene, polypropylene, polystyrene resins and multiple materials which include the following substances. The plastic sheet means sheet which is made out of that plastic. So, these are the defining terms under the rules and regulations and they need to be interpreted as in the same manner as the law or as the rules and regulations state them to be. The plastic waste means any plastic discarded after their use or intended use is over. Again, a very important definition that what creates a waste. That waste which the plastic when it is after it is used, it is discarded or disposed of in a manner where the plastic which is of use earlier becomes a waste product. The prescribed authority are the authorities, the producer is the person who is manufacturing or importing or multi-layering packaging or plastic sheets like of the industry and using plastic sheets or like for covers made of plastic sheets or multi-layered packaging. Recycling is an important ingredient of plastic waste, which means the process of transforming the segregated plastic waste into a new product or the raw material for producing new products. So, which means when a plastic has already been used and it is segregated from the other waste, then that product which is finally reprocessed, it may be used as a raw material for producing new products. So, the registration means registration which is made by the state pollution under the State Pollution Control Board or the Pollution Control Committee concerned, as the case may be. The street vendors are people who are selling the same on the streets. Local body means all the local authorities such as the MCD, the municipality, the Nagar Palika, Nagar Nigam, Nagar Panchayat, Municipal Council, etc. Virgin plastic means that plastic material which has not been subjected to use earlier and has not been blended with a scrape of waste. Waste generator, it means every person or persons, residential and commercial establishments including Indian Railways, airport, port, harbour, defence establishments which generate plastic waste. Waste management means the collection, storage, transportation, reduction, reuse, recover, recycle, composting or disposal of plastic waste in an environmentally safe manner. The waste pickers are the people or the agencies or group of individuals voluntarily engaged or authorized for picking of the recycling plastic waste. Then comes Rule 4. The conditions under Rule 4 are the manufacturer, importers, stocking, distribution, sale and use of carry bags, plastic bags or like, or covers made of the plastic bags and multi-layered packaging are subject to the following conditions. The carry bags and plastic packaging either be in natural shades, which is without any added pigments, or made only those pigments and colorants which are in conformity with the Indian standards titled as the list of pigments and colorants for use in plastics in contact with the foodstuff, pharmaceuticals and drinking water, which have been amended from time to time. The carry bags made of recycled plastic or products made of shall not be used for storing, carrying, dispensing or packaging ready to eat or drink food. So, the recycling products are not for used for drinking or eating purposes, where the food is stored in those plastic bags. Carry bag made of virgin or recycled plastics shall not be less than 50 microns in thickness. Now, all these terms are scientific in nature, but when a scientist projects the fact or provides evidence that the plastic which is made is of certain thickness, then that can be used as evidence to bring the offender to book if he is conducted an illegal activity. The plastic sheet is not an integral part of the multi-layered packaging and cover made of plastic sheet used for packing, wrapping the commodity, which is less than 50 microns in thickness, and the thickness of such plastic sheets impairs the functionality of the product. So, the conditions: the manufacturers will not sell, provide or arrange plastic to be used as a raw material by the producer not having a valid registration, which is to be taken from the State Pollution Control Board or the Pollution Control Committee. Sachets using plastic material shall not be used for storing, packing or selling gutka, tobacco and pan masala. Recycling of plastic waste shall conform to the Indian standards and the guidelines, and they shall not be applicable to carry bags made of compostable plastic. Carry bags made from these plastics which are compostable shall conform to the Indian standards, as specifications may be made from time to time. The manufacturers or sellers of these plastic bags shall obtain a certificate from the Central Pollution Control Board before marketing or selling. If plastic material in any form, which are the scientific terms which are here: vinyl acetate, malic acid, vinyl chloride, copopolymer, shall not be used in any package for packaging gutka, pan masala and tobacco in any forms. Rule 5 talks about the plastic waste management. This management by the urban local bodies in their respective jurisdictions shall be as such. plastic waste can be recycled, it shall be channelized to register plastic waste recycler, and recycling of plastic shall conform again to the Indian standards, which are guidelines for recycling of plastics and which are amended from time to time. The local bodies shall encourage the use of plastic waste for road construction as per the Indian Road Congress guidelines, or energy recovery of waste to oil. The standards and pollution control norms specified by the prescribed authority for these technologies shall be complied with. The thermoset plastic waste shall be processed and disposed of as per the guidelines issued by the Central Pollution Control Board from time to time. The inert from recycling or processing facilities of the plastic waste shall be disposed of in compliance with the Solid Waste Management Rules 2000 or as amended from time to time. The responsibility of the local body. Every local body shall be responsible for developing and setting up of the infrastructure for segregation, collection, storage, transportation, processing and disposal of the plastic waste either on its own or by engaging agencies or producers. Again, the local body shall be responsible for setting up, operationalization, coordination of the waste management system and for performing the associated functions, namely which ensures segregation, collection, storage, transportation, etc. No damage is caused to the environment during this process. Channelization of recycled plastic waste fraction to recyclers. Non-recycling fraction of plastic waste in accordance with the guidelines which are issued. Creating awareness among all stakeholders about their responsibility not to dispose of or to use that plastic in a responsible manner. Engaging the civil society or group working with waste pickers. Ensuring that open burning of the plastic waste does not take place, because it is the most harmful activity not only for the environment but also for the people who are living around that area, as they may be contracting diseases and health issues. The local body for setting up of the system of plastic waste management shall seek assistance of the producers, and such system shall be set within a year from the date of final publication of these rules in the Official Gazette of India. The local body to frame bylaws and incorporating the provision of these rules. Rule number 7 talks of the responsibility of the Gram Panchayat. Now, Gram Panchayats are at the village levels. Every Gram Panchayat, either on its own or by engaging an agency, shall set up, operationalize and coordinate for waste management in the rural areas which are under their control, and for performing the associated functions, which is again the same: segregation, collection, storage, transportation, waste, plastic waste management, channelization of recycling plastic waste fraction to recyclers, ensuring that no damage is caused to the environment in this process, of creating awareness amongst the stakeholders and ensuring that open burning of plastic waste does not take place. The Rule 8 talks about responsibility of the waste generator. The waste generator shall take steps to minimize generation of the plastic waste and then segregate that plastic waste at source in accordance with the Solid Waste Management Rules 2000 or as they are amended from time to time. Nor litter the plastic waste and ensure segregated storage of waste at source, hand over segregated waste to urban local body or Gram Panchayat or agencies appointed by them, or registered waste pickers, registered recyclers or waste collection agencies. All these generators of plastic waste shall segregate, store according to the municipal rules 2000 which are notified, and under the Act and amendment from time to time which takes place to authorize waste processing, disposal facilities or deposition centers either on its own or through the authorized waste collection agency. The waste generators shall pay a user fee or charge as may be specified in the bylaws of the local bodies, and they shall be for the waste management such as waste collection or operation of a facility. Every person responsible for organizing an event in open spaces which involves service of foodstuff in plastic or multi-layered packaging shall segregate and manage the waste generated during such events in accordance with the Municipal Solid Waste Management Rules 2000, which are notified and amended from time to time. Responsibility of the producer, importers and the brand owners. They, within a period of 6 months from the date of publication of these rules, shall work out formalities for waste collection system based on extended producer's responsibility and involving state urban development departments, either individually or collectively, through their distribution channel or through the local bodies concerned. The primary responsibility for collection of used multi-layered plastic sachet or pouches or packing is that of the producers, importers and brand owners who introduce these products in the market. They need to establish a system for collecting back that waste which is generated due to their plastics. The plan of collection to be submitted to the State Pollution Control Board and for applying for consent to establish, operate or renewal. The brand owners whose consent has been renewed before the notification of these rules shall submit within 1 year from the date of notification of these rules and implement them 2 years thereafter. There is manufacturing and use of non-recyclable multi-layered plastic, which if any should be phased out in 2 years' time. The producer, within a period of 3 months from the date of final publication of these rules, shall apply to the Pollution Control Board or the committee, as the case may be, of the states, the union territories administration for grant of registration. Now, registration of their entity is very important. No producer who, after the expiry of a period of 6 months from the date of publication of these rules, shall manufacture or use any plastic or multi-layered packaging for packaging of products without registration from the State Pollution Control Board or the Pollution Control Committee. Every producer shall maintain a record of the details of the persons engaged in the plastic used as raw material to manufacture carry bags or plastic sheets or like, or cover made of plastic sheet or multi-layered packaging. Rule 10 talks about protocols for compostable plastic materials. Determination of the degree of degradability and the degree of disintegration of the plastic material shall be used as per the protocols of the Indian standard listed in Schedule 1 to these rules. Marking or labeling, that is again a very important aspect. When you are transporting or when you are recycling or reusing plastic waste, or it is done in a manner which needs to go from one place to another, the marking and the labeling of those products are very important. Every plastic bag, carry names and multi-layered packaging shall have the following information: the name, registration number of the manufacturer, the thickness of the bag, the name, registration number of the manufacturer in case of multi-layered packaging, name and the certificate number in case of carry bags made from compostable plastic. Each recycled carry bag shall bear a label as recycled as shown and shall conform, the label needs to be there, and shall conform to the Indian standard or Indian Bureau standards or the guidelines for recycling of plastics, which may be amended from time to time. So, these are the specifications which need to be carried out, which shall bear the label compostable and conform to the Indian standards for compostable plastics. The prescribed authority, the State Pollution Control Board or the pollution control bodies or the committees, in respect of a union territory, shall be the authority for enforcement of these provisions which relate to registration, manufacture, multi-layered packaging, processing and disposal of this plastic waste. The concerned secretary in charge of the urban development of the state or a union territory shall be the authority for enforcement of these provisions of these rules relating to waste management by waste generator, use of plastic carry bags, plastic sheets or like covers made of plastic sheets and multi-layered packaging. The concerned Gram Panchayat in the villages shall be the authority for enforcement of these provisions relating to waste management by the waste generator, use of plastic carry bags, plastic sheets, covers, multi-layered packaging in the rural areas of a state or a union territory. The authorities referred to in 1 to 3 shall take assistance of the district magistrate or the district commissioner within the territorial limits of the jurisdiction of the concerned district in the enforcement of the provisions of these rules. Registration of producer, recyclers and manufacturer. No person shall manufacture carry bags or recycled plastic bags or multi-layered packaging unless the person has obtained a registration from the State Pollution Control Board or the Pollution Control Committee of the Union Territory, as the case may be, prior to the commencement of the production. Every producer, for the purpose of registration or renewal of registration, shall make an application in the prescribed form to the board or to the committee or to the Union Territory concerned in Form 1. Waste or proposing to recycle or process plastic waste shall make an application to the State Pollution Control Board, Pollution Control Committee for grant of registration or renewal of registration for the recycling unit. Every manufacturer engaged in manufacturing of plastic to be used as a raw material shall make again an application to the State Pollution Control Board, the Committee of the Union Territory for grant of registration or renewal of registration, as the case may be. The Pollution Control Board and the Pollution Control Committee shall not issue or renew to plastic waste recycling or processing units until and unless the unit possesses a valid consent under the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, the 1974, the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981, along with the certificate of registration issued by the District Industries Centre or any other government agency authorized on this behalf. Further rules for registration go to talk about that the authorities of the board and the committee shall not renew registration of producer unless the producer possesses an action plan endorsed by the secretary in charge of urban development of the concerned state or the union territory for setting up of a plastic waste management system. On receipt of an application complete in all respects for the registration for recycling or processing of plastic waste under sub rule 3, the board shall, after making an inquiry, consider necessary or is satisfied that the person possesses appropriate facilities, technical capability and equipment to handle that waste, may grant registration to the applicant on the fulfillment of those conditions. The state board, the pollution committee, they shall take a decision on grant of registration within 90 days of receipt of an application. The registration granted shall be valid for a period of 1 year, unless it is revoked, suspended or cancelled, and shall subsequently be granted for 3 years. The board or the committees shall not revoke, suspend or cancel registration without providing the person an opportunity of hearing to the producer or the person which is engaged in recycling or processing. Every application for renewal of registration shall be made at least 120 days before the expiration of the validity of the registration certificate. Responsibility of the retailers and the street vendors. These people shall not sell or provide commodities to consumers in carry bags or plastic sheets or multi-layered packagings which are not manufactured and labelled or marked as per prescribed under these rules. These people also shall not provide commodities in plastic carry bags or multi-layered packaging or plastic sheets, covers made of plastic sheets which are not manufactured or labelled or marked in accordance with the rules, and they shall pay a fine as specified under the bylaws of the local bodies. Explicit pricing of the carry bags. The shopkeepers and the street vendors willing to provide plastic carry bags for dispensing any commodity shall register with the local body. The local body within a period of 6 months from the date of final publication of these rules may notify. By notification of an order, appropriate statute or bylaws shall make provisions for registration on payment of the plastic waste management fees of a minimum rupees of 48,000 at the rate of 4,000 per month. The concerned local authority may prescribe higher plastic waste management fee depending on the sale capacity, and the registered shopkeepers shall display at prominent places that plastic carry bags are given on payment basis. Only the registered shopkeepers or street vendors shall be eligible to provide plastic carry bags for dispensing these commodities, and the local body shall utilize the amount paid by the customer of the carry bags exclusively for the sustainability of the waste management system within their jurisdiction. Then the state level monitoring committee. The state government or the union territory, for the effect of monitoring of implementation of these rules, shall constitute a state level advisory committee consisting of the following persons: the secretary of the Department of Urban Development to be the chairman, the director from the State Department of Environment to be a member secretary from the Pollution Control Board, municipal commissioner, one expert member from the local body, one expert from the non-governmental body involved in waste management, commissioner value added tax or his nominee, the sales tax commissioner or officer, a representative of the Plastic Association, Drug Manufacturers Association, Chemical Manufacturers Association, one expert from the field of industry, one expert from the field of academic institution, a director of a municipal administration. The state level advisory body shall meet once in 6 months and invite experts if considered necessary. The annual reports. Now, all this process, when it takes place, annual reports are prepared of the entire process which has taken place. Every person who is engaged in recycling processing shall prepare and submit an annual report in Form 4 to the local body concerned under intimation to the concerned State Pollution Control Board or the committee by the 30th April of every year. The local body shall prepare and submit an annual report in Form 5 to the concerned secretary in charge of urban development under intimation to the concerned State Pollution Control Board or committee by the 30th June every year. Every Pollution Control Board and committee shall then prepare and submit an annual report in Form 6 to the Central Pollution Control Board on the implementation of these rules by 31st July of every year. The Central Pollution Control Board shall prepare a consolidated annual report on the use and management of plastic waste and forward it to the central government along with its recommendations before the 30th of August of every year. The Plastic Waste Management Rules 2018. It has used the word alternate use means use of material for a purpose other than that for which it was conceived and which is beneficial because it promotes resource efficiency. Energy recovery means energy recovery from the waste, that is conversion of waste material into usable heat, electricity or fuel through a variety of processes including combustion, gasification, pyrolyzation, anaerobic digestion and landfill gas recovery. The registration of the concerned persons. Rule 13 talks about registrations of the producers, cyclers and manufacturers, and for the purpose of registration or renewal of registration, they shall make an application in the respective forms to the Pollution Control Boards or the Committee of a Union Territory if operating 1 or 2 states or Union Territories. The Central Pollution Control Board if operating for more than 2 states or Union Territories. Rule 15 is deleted and has been amended in the year 2018. Now the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules of 2021. These rules, the rules which were there in 2016 in Rule 2 in Sub-Rule 1, after the word importers, the words brand owners, plastic waste processor, recycler, reprocessor shall be inserted. So, in the brand owners and the plastic waste processor, the names have been changed. In the said rules in Rule 3, the clauses which shall be inserted are non-woven plastic bags, means non-woven plastic bag made of plastic sheet or web structural fabric of entangled plastic fibers or filaments bonded together by a mechanical, thermal or chemical means, and the non-woven fabric means a flat or a tufted porous sheet that is made directly from plastic fibers, molten plastic or plastic films. After clause Q, the following clause is inserted, which is plastic waste processing. It means a process by which plastic waste is handled for the purpose of recycling, reusing, recycling, co-processing or transformation into new products. The following clauses have been inserted, which is single-use plastic commodity, which means a plastic item intended to be used once for the same purpose before being disposed of or recycled. Thermostat plastic, which means a plastic which becomes irreversibly rigid when heated and hence cannot be remolded into a desired shape. Thermoplastic means which softens on heating and can be molded into the desired shape. So, the meanings have been amended. For the words importer stocking, the words import stocking shall be substituted. For the words 50 microns in thickness, the words figures, letters and brackets 75 microns in thickness with effect from 30th September 2021 and 120 microns in thickness from 31st December 2022 are to be substituted. In clause H, the carry bags, the words and commodities shall be inserted. For compostable plastic carry bags, the words or commodities or both shall be inserted, and the non-woven plastic carry bag shall not be less than 60 gram per square meter with effect from 30th September 2021. The meaning as amended are: the manufacturer, import, stocking, distribution, sale and use of following single-use plastics, including these polystyrene and expanded polystyrene commodities are prohibited with effect from 1st July 2022. Earbuds with plastic sticks for balloons, plastic flags, candy sticks, ice cream sticks and polystyrene for decoration. Plastic cups, glasses, cutlery such as forks, spoons, knives, straws, trays, wrapping or packaging films around sweet boxes, invitation cards and cigarette packets, plastic or PVC banners less than 100 microns stirs. The amendments, they shall not apply to commodities made of compostable plastic. Notification prohibits the manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sale and use of carry bags, plastic bags or like made of plastic sheets and multi-layered packaging, and a single-use plastic including polystyrene and expanded polystyrene commodities issued after this notification comes into force after expiry of 10 years from the date of its publication. Further amendments: in Rule 5, for the figures 2000, the figure 2016 shall be substituted. In Rule 6, after clause A, ensuring that the provisions of these rules are amended and adhered to. This Rule 7, ensuring that the provisions of these rules are amended and adhered. In the said rules, in Rule 9, local body concerned, the words as per guidelines issued about these rules from time to time shall be inserted. After the words plastic carry bags, the word plastic packagings needs to be inserted, and after the word manufacturer, the words producer or brand owners shall be inserted. After the word carry bag, the plastic packaging used by brand owners shall be inserted. Clause B, after the words multi-layered packaging, excluding multi-layers packaging used for imported goods shall be inserted, and after these words name and certificate number, the word of producer shall be inserted. The Rule 12, waste generator, the word restriction or prohibition shall be inserted, and in the words waste generator, restriction on prohibition on shall be inserted. After the words union territory concerned, the word Central Pollution Control Board shall be inserted. Now comes the Plastic Waste Management Rules of the year 2022. It was made as the second amendment to these rules. So, the Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016, in Rule 3, the clause biodegradable plastic means plastic other than compostable plastic which undergoes degradation by biological processes under ambient environmental, terrestrial or water conditions without leaving any microplastics or visible or distinguishable or toxic residue, and has an adverse environmental impact adhering to the standards of the Bureau of Indian Standards certified by the Central Pollution Control Board. The word brand labels, the words trademarks shall be inserted. The word means bags made means within brackets of plastic packaging shall be inserted, and the numbered which says the thereof and before clause GB so as renumbered. The following clauses are: end of life disposal means plastic is waste for generation of energy subject to relevant guidelines in force, which includes co-processing, that is cement, steel or any other industry, or waste to oil, except in cases where feedstock chemicals are produced for further use of production of plastic, which then can be considered under recycling or as road construction as per the Indian Road Congress guidelines. The amendments which are made in 2022, they are: importer means a person who imports plastic packaging or products with plastic packaging, carry bags or multi-layered packaging or plastic sheets or like. The following clause of plastic packaging means packaging material made of using plastics for protecting, preserving, storing and transporting of products in a variety of ways. Plastic waste processor means recyclers of plastic waste as well as entities engaged in using plastic waste for energy, that is waste to energy, which is important, including in co-processing or converting plastic waste to oil, that is waste to oil, and except in cases where feedstock chemicals are produced for further use in the production of plastic, which then can be considered under recycling, industrial composting. The meanings: the clauses named the post-consumer plastic packaging waste means plastic packaging waste generated by the end-use consumer, and after the intended use of packaging is completed, it is no longer to be used for its intended purpose. The word pre-consumer plastic packaging means plastic packaging waste generated in the form of reject or discard at the stage of manufacturing of plastic packaging, and plastic packaging waste generated during the packaging of product including reject, discard before the plastic packaging reaches the end use consumer of the product. Recyclers are entities who are engaged in processing of recycling of plastic waste. The reuse means an object or resource material again for the same purpose or another purpose without changing the object's structure. Use of recycled plastic means recycled plastic used as raw material instead of virgin plastic in the manufacturing process. Waste to energy means plastic waste for generation of energy and includes co-processing, which is in cement, steel or any other industry. In rule 4 of the said rules, the words thickness, the words as specified by the central government shall be inserted, and after the words made of compostable plastic, the words biodegradable plastic shall be inserted. For letters and figures, the ISO this number of 2021 shall be substituted. Seller of compostable plastic and biodegradable plastic shall be inserted, and compostable plastic and words biodegradable plastics shall be inserted. Amendment for the rules for various concerned persons. The producers, importers or brand owners shall fulfill extended producer's responsibility for plastic packaging as per the guidelines. The portion which begins with plan of collection and ending with the word 2 years thereof shall be omitted. The words pollution control board and the central pollution control board and state pollution control board shall be inserted, and without registration of this from the central pollution control board, if operating in more than 2 states or union territories, shall be inserted, and after pollution control committee, the words brackets and figures shall be inserted. Inclusion of protocols. The protocols for compostable and biodegradable plastic materials, the following rules are substituted. Determination of the degree of degradability and degree of disintegration of plastic material shall be as per the protocols of the Indian standard listed in Schedule 1. The compostable plastic materials shall conform to the ISO standards, which are amended from time to time. The biodegradable plastics shall conform to the Indian Bureau of Standards and certified by the Central Pollution Control Board. A standard is notified by the Bureau of Indian Standards. Biodegradable shall conform to the tentative standards as notified. As a transitory measure, provisional certificate for biodegradable plastics shall be issued by the Central Pollution Control Board, where an interim test report is submitted for an ongoing test which covers the component of the standards which relates to biodegradability given under these clauses and provisions. The provisional certificate shall be valid till 30th June 2023, where the condition that production or import of biodegradable plastics shall cease after 31st March 2023, which means it is already gone. The interim test report shall be obtained from the Central Institute of Petrochemical Engineering and Technology or a laboratory recognized under the Laboratory Recognition Scheme 2020 of the Bureau of Indian Standards or laboratories proposed by the National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories and shall certify the biodegradable nature of the plastic with its Bureau standard. Amended rules for registration. The rules for registration have also received an amendment, that is, the Rule 11 of the said clause for clause A shall be substituted the name, registration number of the producer, brand owner and thickness in case of carry bags and plastic packaging, provided that the provision shall not be applicable for plastic packaging used for imported materials. Cases falling under Rule 26 of the Legal Metrology Packaged Commodity Rules 2011 after the approval of the Central Pollution Control Board, cases where technically not feasible to print the required information mandated under the rules as per the specifications given in under the rules, guidelines for use of standard marks and labeling requirements under BIS compulsory registration scheme for electronics and IT products after the approval of the Central Pollution Control Board, which are to take effect from 1st January 2023. And the word manufacturer, producer or brand owner shall be substituted, and the names the importer or producer or brand owner of imported carry bags or multi-layered packaging or plastic packaging alone or along with the standards shall adhere to clause A and B. Amendments to include State Pollution Control Board. The rule that State Pollution Control Board shall be inserted. The rule that no person shall manufacture carry bags or recycled plastic bags or multi-layered plastic unless they have obtained the registration form. They are operating in 2 or more states or union territories. If it is operating in more than 2 states, it is in sub-rule 2, the words producer or words importer shall be inserted. They shall make an application as per the guidelines shall be inserted. They shall under sub-rule 3, after the words form 3, the word and figures as per the guidelines specified in schedule 2 shall be inserted. Sub-rule 6 shall be omitted, and sub-rule 7, which talks of terms of registration occurring at the end, and the words and figures shall be subject to fulfillment of obligations in accordance with the guidelines of the extended producer responsibility for packaging specified in schedule 2 shall be inserted. Compensation now comes on the basis of polluter pays principle, where any plastic activity which has been carried on and creates damage to a person, there it is the polluter pays principle which shall apply, which means that the producer is bound to pay compensation whether it was his fault or whether it was any other person's fault. So, it is rule 17 of the said rules. The rule shall be inserted, namely that imposition of environmental compensation, it is levied based on the polluter pays principle on persons who are not complying with the provisions of these rules as per guidelines notified by the Central Pollution Control Board. Now, coming down to the cases. The cases which are here are the Court on its own motion versus Union of India. This is a case which relates to creating of pollution and the court seeking penalties for the same under the polluter pays principle. The case of Goodwill Plastic Industries and Union Territory of Chandigarh, they banned the use of plastic in common day lives and by the sellers and the stock and the vendors who would be selling plastic, who would be selling their products in plastic bags. Then comes the Karuna Society for Animals and Nature and Others versus Union of India. In this case again, although the remaining cases are indirectly cases which talk about pollution and for environmental protection, it is only the Goodwill Plastic Industries case of Chandigarh which led to the banning of plastic waste. So, it is these industries who have been creating pollution, and the creation of pollution in this has sought for compensation to be coming wherever plastic waste is generated more than what is required, causing damage to the environment in one way or the other, whether it is land, whether it is air or whether it is water. So, with this, the plastic waste rules have been taken care of from time to time, and various amendments have taken place with all proper provisions being provided that the government, the society and the people's consciousness works towards protection of the environment by banning the plastic or making as minimum use as possible of the plastic waste materials, or in a way which is environmentally sustainable. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gillette Sam and I teach sociology at IIT Kanpur. Today I am going to tell you about an important debate that is occurring around the concept of globalization. Now, within the study of globalization, there are two sets of people. The first set of people argue that globalization is very real. It's something that is happening around us all the time, and in fact, it's something that is gaining strength over time. The second set of people, and the first set of people are called the globalists. The second set of people are not so convinced that globalization is something real, and they are referred to as skeptics. Now, the skeptics argue that unlike what the globalists would have us believe, that there are things and ideas and people that are traveling across the world, across multiple borders, and that we live in an interconnected world, actually there are many parts of the world and many types of people who are completely left out of these kind of global flows. So, they would give you the example of typically indigenous communities who live across the world. And they would argue that if you look at the lives of indigenous communities, particularly tribes that are quite isolated in terms of their physical location, their lives continue without their participating in any kind of global flows. To this, the globalists would respond that even though people may live in isolated and remote locations, and they may not be directly involved in global flows, their lives today are still being influenced by events that are happening at a global scale. You can take the example of climate change. So, for instance, if there is an indigenous community that has no contact with anyone else in the world apart from themselves, but they live in an area which is experiencing an increase in sea levels and increase in the temperature. all of this may be attributed to people in neighboring countries, or actually rather events that are happening across the globe. So in that sense, even though you may not be directly participating in global flows, your everyday life is affected by what is happening around the world. Another argument that the skeptics make is in regard to what happens with the nation states. Now, initially, when discussions about globalization started, and we are talking about the 1990s, the expectation was that the nation state as an entity is going to wither away. It's going to cease to be important. Now, skeptics could point out to the world today and say, well, nation states are still important. We still live our lives based on which nation we were born in or which nation we have citizenship in. Their rules and regulations are still important for us. To which globalists would argue that this expectation that the nation state will cease to be important, that itself is a fallacy. Rather than facing a situation that the nation state becomes less important over time, we actually may be headed towards a situation where, in addition to the nation state, there are other laws which become important to our lives, and they shape our lives on an everyday basis.